Hi everyone, it's nice to see some familiar faces in the room. I'm Pete from Space 48. We're agency partner to Sarah Raven, partner of BigCommerce, who are sponsoring this session today. So thank you for having us on stage. This session we're going to talk a bit about Sarah Raven's kind of like growth journey, some of the opportunities they've got, some challenges they've had within the business as well, how tech's helping support the business, and potentially also how they work with us as an agency partner as well. So, and hopefully we'll have some time for some questions at the end, if that'll flex us. So, yeah, Jake, do you want to introduce yourself and Sarah Raven for those people that don't know? To be fair, we can get Jim to come and do the Sarah Raven, so he knows you better than anybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Jake. I'm the Growth Marketing Director at Sarah Raven. Sarah Raven is a premium online gardening and home company, and we operate solely in the UK.
Is that, you can sell more if you want.
No, we're God, this Chesterfield's so comfy. I've been with the business for 9 months now, joined in January, so I'm leading all things growth, acquisition, brand, CRM, e-commerce development, across the whole function, everything under one person, i.e. me. I know there's lots of conversations always going about, should digital sit here or marketing sit there? One person, one entity, one budget. That's
that works. Me. Digital marketing working together, I always find really works well together. So you mentioned you've been there 9 months. Obviously, we've been working with Sarah Raven for nearly 4 years. We helped them do the BigCommerce re-platform. Obviously, that was kind of like towards the tail end of lockdown. So COVID, again, 2021, sort of early you went live on BigCommerce. Obviously, as most businesses post-COVID have gone through a lot of change. You guys smashed it during COVID, home and garden, like everyone was out in the gardens doing stuff, so boom for time for you. But again, post-COVID again, things changed a little bit. Sarah Raven's been through a lot of change themselves. You've had some challenges. So when you walked in 9 months ago, what were some of the challenges you kind of walked into? Why were you brought in, basically?
So the remit really was to bring the business back to growth. So as you said, over COVID, we, like a lot of other online businesses, benefited from that, that halo online impact over the few years, and then post that, as Jim's slide, sort of up against a bit of a shrinking, a contracting base. Obviously, the category in the demand, the demand in the category basically outstripping the competition, and then when the world opened back up again, people's habits changed. So people who take up gardening in COVID might not have continued that on. So really, and a thing that we look at is basically our 0 to 12 month buyers, like what you'd call your active customers, and that was shrinking. And the main challenge or reason why that was is we weren't really doing many acquisition, so we're very highly leveraged on catalogue marketing and just harnessing existing demand, which if you're not adding new people in at the top, it's quite hard to make that like a bit of a flywheel, if you like. So really the primary challenge was new customer acquisition, and that is how all brands grow. So that was that is where I kind of looked to begin with. I actually started to look, in my opinion, the only way to truly get big in D2C, now we have no stores, purely online, no wholesale, is word of mouth. So actually, rather than diving into paid search, paid social is my background, but just making sure the product is remarkable, to try and fuel word of mouth. So getting into operations, what is the unboxing experience like? Is this a remarkable experience? Just to try and make sure more and more people are more inclined to tell friends and family about it.
Do you find that, you mentioned new customer acquisition now, and kind of like maybe new gardeners that come on board. I think previously your demographic's always been the older generation, no offense, Jim.
Yeah.
But is that, how have you found, like, in terms of how have you tried to kind of reach out to those kind of like the new gardeners and kind of get those guys on board?
Yeah, so like this is a massive initiative for us now, is that I've basically learned over the past 9 months like gardening is quite a bit elitist. The customer is middle-aged elderly women who are white, like that is the core. And the way I think about it is that if you think of a donut, ones with the holes in the middle, we serve a core audience really well, and people who know a lot about gardening and are really bloody good at it. But there's all this market on the outside of like entry-level people or novice people or younger demographic. And we were just not making any content or ads that served that demographic. So trying to be more diverse in our marketing to appease to a wider audience, and just being a little bit more approachable in terms of like the language we use, the types of people we show in the ads on the website, because before we were just kind of limiting really just to a very small slice of the overall pie or the donut. So like one of the first sort of go-to strategies for us were we weren't doing any paid social, any meta advertising, which in my opinion is still the most cost-effective way to reach people at scale. You know, there's TV, but it's exponentially more expensive. So that was like the first top of funnel thing that we need to start doing, rather than just Google search, which is great, but you're only appealing to people who are already in category. We need to bring new people in. So that was like month one, get that to be a well-oiled machine.
Did you have to, again, trying to attract the new audience, with the site that you launched, did you have to kind of update any of the kind of like the user journeys you were focusing on in terms of the way people were finding product? Like if you educate, was it like more educational content? Like what was the kind, did you do any shifts actually on the site itself to?
Yeah. So we started to make more like content rich landing pages, especially if someone's coming in from an ad on Facebook or Instagram on a mobile, just sending them to a product listing page or product page, and they have no idea who you are. It's quite a tough sell, and you'll see that in the conversion. So trying to, almost creating mini home pages and we know it's a longer term game when we start talking about paid social and new customer acquisition, but we focus quite heavily on like content heavy education resources, not only from a paid point of view, but to harness search engine optimization as well. So yeah, it's a longer term play, but that's what we need to create, or all businesses need to create like a defensible moat. So for us, it's like content heavy educational resources and becoming synonymous with, if I'm going to start gardening, we need to be top of mind. So that's the kind of journey that we've started to build some momentum behind.
What would you say, look, this was quite a techie event today in terms of the integration point of view, but from a tech point of view, is there anything that's been like helping or hindering you in terms of, again, solving some of those challenges, again, the acquisition piece, or just more the wider challenges? So it could be e-commerce, like general tech, like what's been helping you or hindering on your growth journey?
I'd say on the thing I'm really obsessed about now is just trying to create a really performance site. Like by that I mean make it quick, easy, and joyous for someone to, as they land on the site and transact. Like that should be a nice experience if you're parting with money and spending £50 on a rose. That needs to be a quick, intuitive, nice experience. And there's certain parts where I felt it was quite janky. Speed isn't it's not going to kill conversion rate, but I think it helps if it's if you can just make those small marginal gains, and it's like that flywheel, that compounding effect. So just small gains in speed obviously helps conversion, and it helps my customer acquisition costs. So really trying to look from where a person would land on the site right through to transaction. Like, is that a nice, joyous experience? And just getting people to do the like walk the shop, like actually go through the site. Like, it's amazing how many people internally who are working, whether you're in IT, marketing, digital, not like stress testing the site. So I think that's been quite a big unlock for us as well.
Again, in terms of the kind of tech you're using, obviously as we've worked with Sarah Raven for the last few years, you've always been really, like, it's funny because you're coming from a catalogue business, obviously traditional offline and kind of like paper-based catalogue to kind of, being online. You've invested really heavily in your tech. Like, out of all the customers we work with, Sarah Raven's probably got like some of the greatest, I guess, on-site tech. I'd say BigCommerce, obviously one of them. But like, How do you then balance that sort of tech and kind of additional platforms that you work with? I know there's a lot of sort of third parties you work with. How do you kind of like balance delivering the best experience possible to customers, which some of these third parties will give you, versus that kind of performance and the speed? How do you like tackle that? And how do you make decisions around, should we invest in this tech? Is it going to, what's the conversion rate potentially increase or whatever it is, versus the performance impact that it may or may not give?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you're right. We do have third parties, which it's kind of a trade-off between, because the more third parties you work with, or more plugins, apps that could have that bloats the site, could slow it down. So that's counterintuitive to what I just said. But then, does the trade-off, is the greater upside on, well, if someone's going to use search, are we going to make sure that what's recommended is going to increase conversion around bundling, cart add-ons, personalization around recommendations? So all these things inherently will fractionally slow the site down, which we're aware of. So it's not as if we've had many conversations about core web vitals and like, how do we try and improve them? But if we integrate this partner, that will affect that. But does the upside outweigh that? So I mean, that's always like a constant dance, I think, between integrating new tech. I mean, we're not headless either, but it's something is on the roadmap and we're exploring. But as I say, it's not all upside either. There's going to be cons to doing that as well if we do go ahead with it.
Would you say that I work with a lot of businesses, and they'll invest in new tech, whatever it might be, on an on-site platform, whatever, a third party, but then very rarely actually go and check back on the performance, about how it's actually impacted performance. They think it looks great and we'll do this, but actually no one videos and okay, does it actually give us the result we needed? But then again, versus that performance again, is that something Sarah Raven will go back and look at historically?
Yeah, so since I've been with the business, like from integration, definitely not like a set and forget, which I've definitely done in the past, or you like try and sweep that under the rug, like, oh, it's maybe not doing as well as we thought. But we try and do like a post-mortem, like a diagnosis, at least month one, quarterly. Are we going to keep on with the partner? So I think it's important just keep check of the full MarTech, like all the architecture, the tools, like why did you install it in the first place or invest in it? And I will always try, even if it's just like quick and dirty Excel, model some forecasting about, I think it's going to do this, it's going to cost us X, what's the expectation? And that's just really easy then to hand to the board, invest in it, this is the headroom for growth. If not, like, we walk away or whatnot. But yeah, definitely you need to keep a sort of temperature check, I think, on all these different tools that you invest in.
How much of a role would you say, obviously we work together quite closely, and you mentioned there about the core web vital stuff, how much do you, I guess, take input from like a third party, like outside source, like an agency like us, like, like pushing back on? So I think I questioned you on, like, you were looking at potentially core web vitals as your kind of key thing, and I was like, well, core web vitals is great, but actually what does it look like to your customer? Like, the customer's most important thing. So how much do you, from an agency point of view, working with us, and this is for anybody really as well, like, do you see us as an agency partner as being like, kind of, just get shit done, get this project done, or like, how do you value that kind of more advisory piece? Would you rather just get on and do what you say, or like, how do you?
Yeah, no, definitely the latter. Like, I think all agencies are usually only as good as, well, it helps if the person steering the ship is is clear and candid about what they want. But I absolutely would always want from all agents, we work with performance marketing agencies, system integrator in space, is to challenge me every day, because we employ the agencies because they are the subject matter experts. That's why we employed them. So it's definitely not about Emperor's New Clothes, and what I say is like, that's just not. So I would always want to be challenged, and like my rationale, ultimately everyone's got blind spots, so I always encourage agencies to tell me if I'm talking rubbish, or I'm the direction of travel is, I've got that a little bit wrong, because otherwise I think you just end up getting stumped if not.
So okay, well, so in terms of, like, again, we talked about your tech investment, what's kind of next for Sarah Raven, and where are you kind of, like, from a growth point of view, where do you see kind of the next opportunities coming for Sarah Raven from tech mainly, but like investment generally wise? Where are you guys then focusing your time, and what's the sort of thing you're looking at in terms of your kind of roadmap?
So for me, it's not AI, but
Thank God.
not say I don't believe it, but for us, it comes back to, it sounds boring, but like we're trying to control what we can control, and in terms of like making the site, so the foundations of it for me is still a bit creaky in places, and it's it's a 20-year-old business, and yes, we re-platformed to BC, I think it was 4 years ago. I'm kind of trying to approach it as to, if I had a blank sheet of paper, like how I'd design the business tomorrow, rather than thinking it's got to fit into what's currently there now. Now that might take more time and definitely more investment, but if we want to become, £50 million business in 5 years, the current stack, does that get us there? Probably not, if I'm candid with the board about that. So for me, I want a quicker site, definitely want a quicker site. I want, from a personalization point of view in CRM, I want, when I talk about education, heavy resources, when someone orders, the post-purchase, the aftercare, do they get updates when they should, at the right time? And that's ultimately going to, when we talk about lifetime value and getting the most out of a product you purchase, so not spamming people and not pissing people off, but well-timed, well-suited communications. Because ultimately we send someone a plant, and then once it's left our warehouse, it's in the customer's hands then. So the retention, repeat rate really relies on them doing a good job of keeping it alive. So we can help support with that. So there's tons we can do around helping the customer get the most out of the product. So definitely the CRM part I'm like very bullish on.
So yeah, the customer data and insights piece is interesting. So if we were to sit here in sort of 12 months' time, again back on this, maybe we'll have us back again next year. Apart from being a Patchworks customer, what else would success look like for Sarah Raven? If we sat here and like, if you evaluate 12 months' time, where would you be?
12 months' time would be,
hopefully,
definitely have grown year on year, because we've had years of growth in COVID, then 2 years of shrinkage. We're growing again now. Hopefully that carries on. I think Jim alluded to it. That first slide really resonated with me. It's really hard to grow brands in broken economies, which we're in right now. So when you said it's okay to be not okay, I think it was. Like that's totally, I feel that as well. So it's, you heard about these unicorns flying off, but it's so if we're growing, I think if you're flat or growing at the minute, you're doing bloody brilliant. So hats off if anyone in the room is doing that. So yeah, but profitable growth, I would say, because that's easy to grow if we just spend a load of money on marketing. So the North Star is EBITDA, is profitability, making wise investment decisions, but also like to think and sat here and make some, when I say like bullish decisions around not just arse covering decisions, like things that, okay, it might not pay back in 3 to 6 months, but can we get excited by something that will pay back in 12 months once we've built that momentum? It's like that flywheel effect, and I think that's what you want from all tech or partner investments. Like, is it going to pay back after the initial honeymoon period, and then that's where the rocket ships are created. I think
it's really good.
Growth, basically.
Right, basically
profitable growth.
Profitable growth. Yeah. I wanted to leave some time for questions because I'm conscious we're a little bit behind. So, has anyone got any questions for Jake? I'd like to ask him. Oh yeah, there's one there.
Where would you want to put your focus on now, especially with mobile versus, say, a laptop? Are you guys investing more of your energy of getting customers, say, on their phone?
Yeah. So our mobile shift for us now, traffic is about 65%, I think, which I would have thought is fairly indicative for most. I don't think that's an outlier. Although inherently it was, so that's quite a big shift because it was a lot of catalogue marketing. You get the catalogue, then you get the desktop out, and so that still happens, but because we're doing much more paid social advertising on apps, on mobile apps, that's where the shift has really gone into mobile. So back to creating that sort of fluid experience between Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest to landing page, like that's got to be really good because everyone's acquisition costs is rising, can guarantee it. So the only way to offset that is you've got to improve conversion. So absolutely, mobile conversion is paramount.
Is that a shift with the demographic? And you talk about that, the different types of customers you're going after.
Yeah.
You've seen that shift to mobile.
Yeah, so we're definitely bringing in younger, but just inherently because we're advertising on mobile apps, I mean, you can go on Instagram, Facebook on desktop, but it's more magnified on mobile. So yeah, we've seen quite a step change into mobile just year on year from advertising more in Meta.
Okay. Any more questions? Does everyone go for a break? Yeah?
All good.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us, guys.
Thank you.
It's really good.